Hello. Let's get into it.
Free speech is the hallmark of any democracy. Ireland, though, is looking to end free speech with a new hate speech bill, which would, among other things, potentially get you arrested if you're caught with a meme or a cartoon or any content that the government deems it rises to the level of being hate speech. And actually, they haven't really even defined what that means, so we don't even know. But my wife sends me memes all the time. I guess if I'm an Irish citizen, I, of course, could then be potentially arrested under this law that's deemed hateful by the Irish government. Elon Musk said this yesterday about Ireland's law and posted this on X. Destroying freedom of speech means destroying democracy. Here's a group that released this new ad and this new video speaking out against this bill. Take a look.
The Irish government is proposing a law known as the Hate Speech Bill that threatens free speech. This law could have dire consequences for our democracy.
Next month, and then
This law will have uncertain effects on artistic and musical expression.
Please support us.
It could stifle the activity of public campaigning on political and civil issues and also curtail speech relating to topics about religion, ethnicity, sex, and gender.
Well, David Thunder is Irish. That's not all he has going for him. He's very, very smart as well. He's a researcher, a lecturer in political philosophy, and he joins me now from Ireland. David, welcome back to the show. Is Ireland a democracy any longer, or is it slipping away from democracy as we speak?
I would say that Ireland is, unfortunately, under the current government, is slipping towards what I would call an oligarchy or rule by elite rather than ruled by the people. The current government seems to be completely out of touch with what people want, what their interests are. And this hate speech bill is a perfect example because there was no popular demand for this radical and draconian piece of legislation. The government just decided to just push it through in spite of the fact that the majority of submissions from the public were actually against the bill.
Why? Why would they push this through? I mean, where is this coming from? So I'm always curious when suddenly we see this big push for legislation in a country and the Irish people are not asking for this. Where is it coming from? Have you been able to track this down?
Well, there are two places that it's coming from, in my opinion. One is from the European Union, because there's a 2008 Council framework decision on combating certain forms and expressions of racism and xenophobia by means of criminal law, which obligates member states to criminalize hate speech and also to criminalize the denial of genocide. So they're acting under this framework decision, which is binding upon member states. So that's the first thing. That particular framework decision did not obligate them to introduce the category of gender as a protected category. That's not coming from the European Union. And I would suggest that this redefinition of gender is coming from the trans lobby. It's clear that the government is responding more to lobbies than to popular demand. And we know this for a long time, that all governments operate under pressure from lobby groups. But the Irish government in particular, I'm at a loss to explain why they would radicalize the definition of gender unless it's under the influence of trans lobbies.
Is the trans lobby so massive? I mean, who's financial? I always want to know where the money is, right? Who's financially supporting this massive trans lobby, so much so that they're creating legislation that would have you arrested if you have some sort of meme or cartoon on your phone that would rise to the level that would really upset this trans group? Like, where is this money coming from?
Well, that's a great question. My understanding is that these self-styled progressive groups, I consider them regressive, but they would self present as progressive, are from the government. They actually receive money, funds, grants from the Irish government. The Irish government gives millions and millions every year to NGOs, including progressive NGOs. And also there are very large international foundations like the George Soros. I understand the Soros Foundation helps to fund some of these kind of progressive lobby groups and NGOs. So probably if you did a paper trail, you probably find money coming from very interesting sources.
So, the Victorian state government is also preparing a bill, and so is the federal government. So, in order to get the Nazi salute criminalised and 12 months imprisonment and a $100,000 fine, the Victorian state government had to lower the hate crime threshold. And now they're preparing to pop some new legislation through the Victorian government to make it criminal to disagree that a trans woman is a woman. So a trans woman is a woman in sports, toilets, prisons, and in bed. And if a man gets upset when he finds out he's with a biological man and reacts physically, it's a hate crime. So if you can get 12 months imprisonment for doing a Nazi salute in Victoria, what do you think you're going to get if you react to sleeping with a biological male? Beard and all. Anyway, so I won't be able to make fun of them. But another way to deal with it is the federal government is going to use it to help with their misinformation and disinformation bill with the social media companies. Hmm. And you thought I was just a crazy person that collected crazy bits of paper.
We begin with shocking pictures of a broad daylight neo-Nazi protest in the northern suburbs. Live now to Hannah Ford. And Hannah, the group filmed themselves performing Hitler salutes.
They did, Mike. They descended to the Pavlos Hotel here in Paraka, which made headlines last month following the arrest of a freed immigration detainee. Dressed in black with their faces covered, members of the notorious National Socialist Network marched through the streets yesterday before gathering at the motel and performing Nazi salutes while chanting "Stop the rapes, deportation now." It was at this motel where an Afghani refugee released from immigration detention following a controversial High Court decision was rearrested after allegedly sexually assaulting a woman in one of the rooms. The 65-year-old was originally detained after a judge deemed him a danger to the community in 2016. The neo-Nazi protesters here yesterday clearly weren't deterred by new laws introduced to Parliament last month that will ban Nazi salutes. They'll carry hefty penalties of a year behind bars or a $20,000 fine. Police were called here yesterday, but by the time they arrived, the group had fled. Sapol says at this stage it appears that there's no crimes that have been committed.
Well-known notorious group, these people could be anybody. They could have been paid $50 each to dress up and do that. Oh, and this is Australia-wide as well, so given that what we just watched on the news, expect us to be in South Australia next. Think a moment point. See you later, bye.